The sky above the desert moon of Varnes was quiet until a sudden streak of fire tore through it. A small escape pod, shaped like a silver seed, spun wildly as it crashed into the dry red sands. The ground shook lightly, and dust rose in a wide circle around the impact zone. Inside the pod, a tiny creature slowly opened her eyes. Her name was Liru. She was from the planet Celia, and her people, the Celians, were small, peaceful, and very afraid of humans. Liru's body trembled. Her long ears twitched at every sound. She had heard stories since childhood about the tall, strong humans who lived on faraway moons. "They eat small beings like us," the elders would say. "Never go near one. Never trust one." She looked out of a small round window. She saw strange towers in the distance and large machines moving across the sand. Her pod had landed near a human mining colony. Liru gasped. "No, no, this is bad," she whispered. Her pod's systems were damaged. She couldn't fly away or call for help. The best she could do was hide. She pressed a button that opened the small back hatch and slipped out quietly, holding a soft crystal in her hands, a lucky charm from her mother. She darted behind a rock and peeked out. A large metal cart approached, rolling on 6 wheels. A human was driving it. He wore a dusty coat, heavy boots, and strange black glasses. His face was rough, with a short beard and tired eyes. His name was Daru, and he worked as a mechanic in the colony. Liru's heart pounded. She curled into a ball, hiding in the shadow of the rock. She held her breath as the cart stopped just a few meters away. Daru got out and walked toward the crashed pod. He knelt beside it. He mumbled. "Not one of ours." He gently touched the pod's side. It was warm. He noticed small footprints in the sand leading away. "Someone's out here," he said quietly. He followed the prints slowly. Each step he took made Liru shiver with fear. She closed her eyes, whispering, "Go away. Go away." But Daru didn't go away. He turned the corner around the rock and saw her. For a moment, both of them froze. Liru stared at the giant human. To her, he looked like a mountain of muscle and mystery. She felt so small, like a bug next to a boot. She let out a squeak of terror and tried to run, but her legs gave out, and she collapsed on the ground. Daru raised his hand slowly. "Hey, it's okay. I'm not going to hurt you," he said softly. Knowing she couldn't understand him, he took off his glasses and crouched down. "You're not from around here, are you?" Liru's vision blurred. Her heart was racing too fast. She whispered, "He's going to eat me. I knew it." And then everything went dark. When Liru woke up, the world was different. She was inside a large metal room filled with tools, wires, and blinking lights. It smelled like oil and metal, but it was warm. She was lying on a soft piece of cloth, and a small blanket was gently placed over her. Nearby, a metal dish held fruit and water. A tiny hand-stitched pillow supported her head, and in the far corner, the human sat on a crate, carefully fixing a broken engine. He didn't look at her. He just worked quietly, humming a strange tune. Liru sat up quickly, breathing fast. Daru turned his head and raised a hand in greeting. He didn't come closer. "Feeling better?" he asked, his voice calm. Liru didn't answer. She couldn't speak his language, but she could see his eyes. They were kind, not cruel. Still, she didn't trust him. She slowly pulled the blanket off and backed away into the corner of the room. Daru saw her movement and nodded. "All right," he said. "You need space, I get it." He placed a small glass of water near her and stepped back. Liru watched him carefully. Was this a trick? Was he just fattening her up before eating her? That's what the old stories said humans did. But why would he fix a pillow for her? Why give her food and water? She looked at the fruit. It smelled sweet. Her stomach growled. Slowly, with shaking hands, she picked up a slice and tasted. It was good. She didn't realize Daru had turned back to his work. He hadn't even stared at her. He just let her be. That confused her even more. If he was a monster, why did he seem so gentle? As the night fell over the desert moon, Liru sat in silence, thinking hard. Everything she knew about humans told her to run, to hide, to escape. But now she was unsure. The human hadn't eaten her. And for the first time in her life, she wondered if the stories were wrong. The next morning, soft light entered through the window of the repair shed. Liru was already awake. She hadn't slept much. Every noise in the night made her jump. But the human Daru had not come near her again. He slept in the far corner of the room, on a thin mattress, snoring softly. Liru sat on the cloth bed he had made for her legs tucked under her. Her small eyes stared at him carefully. "He's still breathing," she whispered to herself. "Still alive. Still. Not dangerous?" The fruit from the night before was gone. She had eaten every bite, too hungry to resist. The water was clean. She had even washed her hands with it. In her world, humans were supposed to be cruel. They were supposed to shout, cage, burn, or bite. But Daru had done none of those things. He had done something else, something very strange. He had left her alone. As Daru stirred awake, he rubbed his eyes and sat up. He saw Liru watching him. "Morning," he said in a soft voice. Then he smiled and stood up slowly, stretching his arms. He didn't come closer to her. He didn't try to touch her or pick her up. He just walked to a table and began making his breakfast, something from a metal box that smelled strange but warm. Liru stayed silent. Daru glanced at her and then turned back to his work. He placed a small plate of food on a tray and gently pushed it toward her across the floor using a stick. Then he walked away again, giving her space. Liru looked at the plate. A small piece of cooked grain, something like a round red fruit, and a few nuts. She sniffed it. Her belly growled again. Carefully she ate one nut. It was good. She looked at the human again. "Why?" she whispered. Daru didn't answer. He didn't. Here, he had put on a large headset and was listening to music while he cleaned a machine part. He gently tapped his foot to the rhythm, his hands moving smoothly. Liru tilted her head. "He's dancing?" She wondered. She had never seen a human in real life before. Only pictures and warning posters. Only stories told by frightened teachers and older siblings. But Daru didn't look like a beast. He looked normal, calm, maybe even kind. After a while, Daru took off the headset and looked over. Liru was still sitting, but now she had finished the food. She wiped her mouth with a tiny corner of the blanket. Daru gave her a thumbs up. "Good?" She blinked, confused. He picked up his notepad, drew a simple, happy face, then pointed at the plate. "Good?" he asked again. Liru hesitated, then nodded once. Daru smiled wide. "All right. That's progress." He drew something else. A stick. Figure with spiky hair. That must be him. Then a small figure with big ears and big eyes. That must be her. Between them, he drew a symbol, a small heart. Liru tilted her head again. She wasn't sure what it meant. In Celian language, hearts meant trust. Was he saying he wanted her to trust him? She didn't reply, but she didn't hide either. Later that day, Daru worked on a large digging drone just outside the shed. Liru sat near the door, wrapped in the blanket, peeking out. She watched how carefully he handled his tools. He talked to himself a little. He cursed when things didn't work, but never in anger. He laughed once when he fixed a stuck wire. Liru found herself smiling, just a little. A wind picked up, blowing dust into the air. She sneezed. Daru looked over and laughed gently. "Careful, little one. The Varney's wind has a bite." He reached into his cart and pulled out a tiny mask, one meant for children. He walked slowly toward her, kneeled far away, and placed the mask on the ground between them. Then he walked back to his tools. Liru stared at the mask. It was light blue and soft dot. She picked it up. That evening, Daru started a small heater in the corner. The shed was warm and calm. Liru sat near a metal bucket filled with glowing stones. She liked the warmth. It reminded her of her home. Daru brought out a broken music box from Earth. It was small and old. When he twisted the knob, it played a soft melody. Liru listened carefully. The tune was slow and gentle. Music, Daru said, pointing. Mu.sick, Liru repeated softly. Daru's eyes widened. You can speak? Liru froze. She didn't mean to speak. She had just copied the sound. Still, she didn't run. Instead, she said it again. Music, Daru smiled. Yes, music. Then he picked up his notepad and drew a simple picture of a music box with sound waves. He wrote music below it. He handed it to her. She took the paper carefully. Her hands trembled a little, but not from fear this time. From surprise. The human was trying to teach her. That night, Liru sat under a small lamp, looking at the paper. She had never felt so confused. All her life, she had believed one thing. Humans are monsters. But now, this human had given her food and shelter, fixed a soft bed for her, taught her a word in his language, and never once tried to harm Hirsch. Still didn't know if she could trust him fully. But for the first time, she didn't feel scared. Not of Daru. Not tonight. The days on the moon of Varnes were long, and the nights were cold. But inside the metal shed, something new was growing, a quiet connection between two very different beings. Liru no longer stayed in the corner. She now sat on a soft cushion, close to the workbench, watching Daru fix broken machines. She still didn't speak much, but her fear was smaller now. Curiosity had taken its place. Daru also noticed the change. He didn't try to touch her or come too close, but he often smiled, nodded, or used drawings to explain things. One morning, he pointed to himself and said, Daru. Then he pointed to her. Liru blinked. She touched her chest. Liru, she whispered. Daru repeated, Liru. She nodded slowly. He gave her a thumbs up and smiled wide. Liru, nice. She smiled back just a little. Later that day, Daru showed her how a small engine worked. He used color markers to draw each part, the coil, the battery, the fuel cell. He made simple shapes and symbols. Liru watched with wide eyes. She loved how the parts fit together like a puzzle. Then, she surprised him. She took the marker and drew something next to his sketch. It looked like a crystal orb with lines around it. Daru looked at it and raised an eyebrow. What's this? Liru pointed to the crystal she wore around her neck. Power, she said softly. Daru's eyes widened. This is your kind of fuel? Liru nodded. Daru gave a soft whistle. No wonder your ship was so fast. That's advanced. Liru tilted her head. Van CED. He picked up the notepad again and wrote the word advanced, then drew a star beside it. He showed it to her and tapped the crystal picture. She understood. Her face lit up with pride. In the evenings, they often listened to music together. Daru had many old recordings from Earth. One night he played a soft song with wind sounds and light drums. Liru closed her eyes and swayed gently to the rhythm. Her ears twitched in time with the beat. You like that one? Daru asked. She nodded. Yes, Daru smiled. He wrote the word music again and added a new word, peace. He drew a heart beside them both and placed the word peace in the center. Liru traced the heart with her finger, then looked at him with a question in her eyes. Daru could feel the question. Yes, he said quietly. Peace between us. Each day, they learned a little more from each other. Liru showed him her language using shapes in the sand. Daru tried to copy the symbols. He wasn't very good, but he tried. She laughed the first time he drew something upside down. He laughed, too. Daru also introduced her to a greenhouse near the shed. Inside, small plants grew in long trays under bright lights. It was warm and smelled of green leaves and earth. Liru's eyes sparkled. She had never seen human plants before. She pointed to a red fruit. "Eat?" Daru nodded. "Yes, you can eat." She took a small bite and smiled. "Sweet." Daru laughed. "You're learning fast." Liru held up a leaf. "This is?" "Mint," Daru said. "It's used in tea." She repeated, "Mint, tea." One night, as a soft wind blew outside, Liru sat by the window drawing pictures in a small book Daru had given her. She drew her home planet, a quote, green world with silver trees and tall crystal towers. She missed it, but she didn't feel sad. Somehow, the shed had started to feel safe. Daru came over with a blanket. "Getting cold," he said and handed it to her. Liru took the blanket and wrapped herself. She looked up and pointed to the stars. "My home," she said. Daru sat beside her, a little distance away. "Earth," he said, pointing to a different star. "My home." They sat in silence for a while, looking at the sky. Then Liru said, "You ... Not bad." Daru turned to her, surprised. "What did you say?" "You not bad," she repeated, slower this time. He smiled. "Thanks, you're not bad either." She smiled too. The next day, Daru brought out something special. A small broken robot, shaped like a spider with 6 legs and glowing eyes. "Can we fix this?" he asked. Liru nodded, her eyes bright. Together, they worked on the little robot. For hours, Liru used her crystal to recharge the tiny power cell. Daru replaced the damaged wires. By sunset, the robot blinked, stood, and walked in circles. Liru clapped her hands with joy. "We did it." Daru gave her a high five, careful not to hurt her small hand. They laughed together. Happy. In just a few days, something big had changed. They no longer needed the same words to understand each other. They had built trust slowly, with actions, with patience, and with kindness. That night, as Liru fell asleep near the warm heater, she whispered to herself, "Not monster, not beast. Just Daru." And for the first time, she dreamed not of fear or escape, but of working together. For many days, Liru and Daru lived in quiet peace. Every morning, they shared breakfast. Every afternoon, they worked on machines, cleaned the greenhouse, or built small things together. Daru made tools small enough for her hands. Liru helped him understand her crystal energy. They even fixed 3 old mining drones and painted them bright colors. Daru called them Teen Tiny. Liru liked that name, but far above Varnes, something was watching. A Celian patrol ship cloaked in deep orbit had found the signal from Liru's crashed escape pod. The ship's commander, Zareen, stared at the screen with a hard face. "There," he said. "Life signs detected, 1 Celian and 1 human." His officer, a young Celian named Nerol, looked nervous. "Should we send a message to the colony?" "Sir," Zarin shook his head. "No messages. No talks. Humans are dangerous. If they've captured one of our own, we must act. But it could be peaceful," Nerol said quietly. Zarin snapped. "You've read the history, haven't you? They crush, burn, and devour. They're too large and too wild. This is not a rescue. It's a removal." He gave the order, "Prepare the strike system. Target the colony." Back on the surface, Liru sat under a metal shade near the greenhouse. She was drawing again. This time she drew 3 figures, 1 tall, 1 small, and 1 tiny robot. She wrote their names: Daru, Liru, Bop, the robot's name. Daru was fixing the greenhouse vent nearby when he noticed something in the sky, a small blinking light. He frowned. "Strange. That's not a star. That's a ship." Liru looked up too. Her eyes widened. She knew that shape. Her heart froze. "Celian ship." She dropped her drawing and ran into the shed. Daru followed her. What is it? Liru rushed to the corner, pulled out a small crystal shard from her bag, and placed it on the table. She used her finger to draw in the dust beside it, a triangle for a ship, then a lightning bolt, and finally a symbol for danger. Daru understood. Your people? They found you? She nodded, eyes wide. Danger. Strike. Soon. Daru's jaw tightened. They think I hurt you, don't they? She didn't answer. She didn't need to. He grabbed a small radio. This colony doesn't have big weapons. If they attack, we can't stop it. Liru's hands trembled. She remembered the old rules. If captured by humans, never speak. Never help them. The High Council will erase the place from the stars. But now she knew the truth. Daru hadn't harmed her. He had saved her. He had shown her music, light, food, and trust. She couldn't let his home be destroyed. She stood tall on the table and said clearly, "Call my ship." Daru looked at her, surprised. You want to speak to them? Yes, must stop this. He gave her the radio controls and boosted the signal with their main antenna. Go ahead. Liru turned to the sky and began speaking in her own language. Her voice was calm but full of strength. Commander Zarin, this is Liru of Celia. Do not attack. The human here is peaceful. He helped me when I was hurt and scared. He gave me food, shelter, and respect. Do not harm him. There was silence. Then a voice replied, Liru, this is Commander Zarin. Your words are noted, but not accepted. You are under human control. You are not safe. We must eliminate the threat. No, she shouted. I am safe. I choose to be. Here, listen to me. He did not capture me. He rescued me. If you strike, you will destroy an innocent. But Zarin's voice was cold. Prepare for impact. Final countdown in 10 minutes. The signal ended. Liru fell to her knees. They won't listen. Daru placed a hand near her, palm up. We'll figure something out. She looked up, eyes full of worry. 10 minutes. Daru's eyes moved to the corner of the shed to the beacon dot. It was an old deep space device used long ago to contact Earth. It had a long range and powerful signal strength. Liru had seen it before, but never touched it. This might be our only chance. He said, You said your people love proof, right? Show them. Liru stood slowly. Yes, but what proof? Daru grabbed his camera and began recording. He filmed the tiny bed he had made for her, the small tools, the music box, the fixed robot, her drawings. Then he turned to her and said, Tell them, in your words. Liru nodded. She faced the camera and spoke from her heart. My name is Liru. I am Celian. I crashed on Varnies. I thought humans were monsters. But I was wrong. One human Daru helped me. He gave me safety. He asked nothing in return. He never hurt me. He taught me peace. She held up her hand, showing her lucky crystal. Please, do not destroy what you do not understand. They sent the message through the beacon. Then they waited. In orbit, the patrol ship received the transmission. Miro watched the video with wide eyes. So did many others. It was quickly passed to Celian command stations. People everywhere were shocked. She's not scared, one officer said. She chose to stay, said another. Even Zarin paused. He didn't speak. Orders came from higher command. Cancel the strike. Open dialogue. Back on Varnies, Liru and Daru stood outside, watching the ship in the sky. The blinking light faded. They're leaving, Daru said. Liru took a deep breath. Thank you. He looked at her. No, thank you. She smiled. Above them, the sky was peaceful again, but both knew something had changed forever. The next morning, soft wind blew across the desert of Varnies. The sky was clear, but the mood inside the shed was not. Liru sat quietly on the workbench, her arms around her knees. Daru stood at the window, looking up at the sky where the Celian ship had been. They didn't attack, he said. That's good. Liru nodded slowly. Yes. But they don't trust yet. They will, Daru said. They saw the truth. They saw you speak for me. But Zarin still thinks I'm brainwashed, she whispered. He thinks I'm just saying what you made me say, Daru turned to her. Then we say more. We show them more. Liru looked at him with tired eyes. It's not easy to change their minds. For many years we've feared humans. It's part of our history. Daru walked over, not too close, and crouched down. Do you trust me? She looked up at him and nodded. Yes, he smiled. Then maybe others will too. Not all at once. But someone has to be first. Later that day, Liru helped Daru clean up the greenhouse. The small red fruits had grown ripe, and the mint leaves smelled fresh. She trimmed the plants while Daru checked the water levels. It was a normal task, but both felt the air had changed. While working, Daru's old radio buzzed. A voice came through. Varney's colony. This is Celian ship Verdun, requesting open channel. Daru's eyes widened. Liru dropped her tools. He rushed to the comm panel and turned it on. This is Daru. Go ahead. The voice replied, calm and firm. This is Officer Merol, speaking under peaceful authority. We have received the full beacon message. The High Council has paused all military action. You are not under attack. Daru looked at Liru. She held her breath. Merol continued. However, Celian Command has questions. They request proof of the girl's condition. They ask if she is free to return. Liru stepped forward and pressed the mic button. Yes, I am free. No one forced me. I want to stay. A pause. Understood, Merol said. But to be sure, a shuttle will land near your position in 2 days. A team will speak with you. No weapons. Just words. Daru replied. We accept. You're welcome here. The signal ended. That evening, Liru sat near the heater, quiet and thoughtful. Daru brought her a cup of warm tea. They're giving you a choice. She nodded. I know. He sat beside her, leaving space. Whatever you decide. It's your life. I won't stop you. Liru looked into the tea. They want me back because I'm Celian. But I feel like I'm something else now. Not just Celian, not human. Just me. You've changed, Daru said gently. So have you. She replied. They shared a smile. The next day, Liru worked on something important. She took Daru's small camera and started recording her daily life, picking fruit, cleaning machines, fixing wires with him, drawing, and reading new words. She spoke directly to the camera. In both her language and his, I was afraid. But now I see clearer. Fear is taught, but so is trust. Daru helped her edit the video. It wasn't perfect, but it was honest. They sent the full file to Merol's team before the meeting. On the morning of the second day, the shuttle arrived. It landed gently, not far from the shed. A cloud of dust rose, but no weapons came out. The Celian ship was shaped like a silver wing, quiet and smooth. Its door opened, and 4 Celians stepped out in light suits. Liru stood near the greenhouse, waiting. Her hands were tight, but she held her head high. One of the visitors was Merol, a young officer with calm eyes. He stepped forward and bowed slightly. Liru, he said. Are you safe? Yes. Are you free? Yes. Have you been harmed? No, I have been helped. Merol looked around. This place, it's not a prison. It's a home, she said. Daru stood nearby but didn't speak. He waited quietly, letting her lead. The Celians asked more questions, but Liru answered all with patience. She showed them the robot she and Daru had fixed. She played the music box. She showed the notes they had written, the food they had grown, and the words she had learned. Finally, Merol said, the council will listen. Maybe not all, maybe not quickly. But you've opened the door. Liru looked at Daru, then back at Mirol. I want to stay. I want to learn more. I want to build a bridge between us. Mirol smiled faintly. Then you are braver than most. He turned to Daru. Thank you for not being the monster we expected. Daru chuckled. I try my best. Before leaving, Mirol handed Liru a small crystal device. This can send private messages to Celia for updates or family contact. Liru took it carefully. Thank you. The shuttle left without trouble. As the dust settled, Liru stood beside Daru, looking up. They believed me, she said, because you showed them the truth, he replied. She nodded. Now I want to show more, teach more, learn more. He smiled. Then we've got work to do. And together, they walked back into the shed, ready for the next step, not just as alien and human, but as partners in something bigger than both of them. 2 days had passed since the Celian shuttle left Varnies. The air felt lighter, and the shed was peaceful again. But something had changed. Liru could feel it deep inside. She was no longer just a lost alien girl. She was now a voice between two worlds. Daru noticed the change too. Liru stood straighter. She spoke more. She even laughed sometimes. That morning, she helped him repair a broken solar panel. The sun was hot above, and her tiny hands moved quickly over the wires. You're getting good at this, Daru said. She smiled. Because you teach well. Daru chuckled. Maybe we should open a school. Liru paused. What if we do? Daru raised an eyebrow. What do you mean? I mean a place, Liru said slowly, thinking out loud, where humans and Celians can learn from each other. No fear, no fighting, just learning. Daru looked at her for a moment, then nodded. That's a big dream. She held up her hand, forming a small circle with her fingers. All big dreams start small, he laughed. All right, little teacher. Let's start with a message. That night, Daru set up the beacon again. This time, they weren't sending warnings or asking for safety. This time, it was something new, a message of peace. Liru stood in front of the camera. The small robot Bob sat beside her, blinking softly. Behind them, the greenhouse glowed with light, and the shed looked clean and calm. She looked straight into the lens. My name is Liru. I was born on Celia. I was told all my life that humans were dangerous, that they would harm us, eat us, and take from us. But I was wrong. She took a breath, then continued. I crashed on Varnies and met a human named Daru. He did not hurt me. He helped me. He gave me food, shelter, and kindness. We built machines. We shared music. We grew food. We laughed. She smiled now softly. I'm not brainwashed. I'm not trapped. I am free. And I choose to stay. She held up her small notebook filled with drawings and shared words. This is what peace looks like. It is slow. It is quiet. But it is real. Then Daru stepped into the frame. He spoke gently. We were strangers. Now we're friends. And I hope one day, more humans and Celians can be friends too. They sent the message to Earth and Celia using the beacon's full power. Within hours, it spread. On Celia, news channels picked up the broadcast. At first, many didn't believe it. It must be a trick, some said. She's under control. But others watched carefully. They saw the way Liru moved freely. They saw her smile. They saw her tiny hand resting on the music box and heard the joy in her voice. Celian children in schools pointed at her and said, "She's not afraid." Celian scientists took interest in Daru's machines, powered by Liru's crystal tech. Artists painted the moment when the little alien girl stood beside the human mechanic and said, "I choose to stay." The High Council called an emergency meeting. On Earth, things were similar. Some people thought it was a joke or a movie. But soon, scientists confirmed it was real. The footage was raw. The radio signals were authentic. Human leaders were surprised. The Celians feared us, one said. Why? We never met them before. But now they had. Daru's calm words and Liru's voice touched people deeply. The message became a symbol. Fear can be unlearned. People shared it with captions like, "From fear to friendship." A tiny girl, a giant leap, not enemies, not monsters. Just people. Back on Varnes, Liru and Daru continued their work. They didn't expect the message to be so big. They just wanted others to see what they saw. That night, the beacon blinked again. A reply had come. Daru opened the message and smiled. "What is it?" Liru asked. He turned the screen toward her. It was a simple letter from the Celian High Council. To Liru of Celia, your message has been received by the Council. And all of Celia, we are moved by your honesty, your bravery, and your choice. You have reminded us that not everything we are told is true. You are now a voice of peace. Continue to share. Continue to learn. We will listen. The Council. Liru's eyes filled with tears, not of sadness, but of relief. They listened. She whispered. Daru placed a gentle hand near her. You changed something big. She looked at him. No, we did. The next morning, Liru began working on a new idea, a communication center that could send signals in both Celian and human languages. She wanted to teach both sides. Daru helped build a small tower behind the shed. They placed a screen, speakers, and a translator crystal on top. Soon, messages began to come in. From Earth, can we visit? From Celia, can you teach us music? From others, what does peace taste like? Liru laughed when she read that last one. Maybe like fruit and tea, Daru smiled. Then we better grow more. They didn't know what tomorrow would bring, but for now, one small girl and one quiet human had shown. Two great worlds, that fear could fade, and that something better could take its place. Not fear. Not hate, not silence, but understanding. A month had passed since Liru's message spread across Celia and Earth. The little shed on Varnes no longer looked like a lonely repair shop. Now it was a place of learning, sharing, and hope. Daru had built more work tables outside. Solar lamps lit the path at night. Liru had painted colorful signs in 2 languages, one in Celian, one in Earth letters. The largest sign read, "Welcome, learn, listen, share." The small greenhouse was now twice as big. The old mining drones helped water the plants, and the robot Bop gave cheerful beeps whenever visitors arrived. And visitors had started to come. Not in crowds, but slowly, one by one. The first guest was a Celian scholar named Enli, who brought a bag of books and a heart full of questions. Then came a young human pilot named Ravi, who offered tools and spare wires. Each visitor brought something. Stories, skills, or just ears. Willing to listen. One morning, Liru stood on a small wooden box and gave her first open lesson. She spoke slowly, in both languages. "We are not the same," she said. "Our hands are different. Our voices, our size, even our home planets. But inside our hearts can feel the same. We all get scared. We all want peace. And we all can learn." Daru stood nearby, smiling with pride. After the lesson, the visitors asked questions. "How did you first meet? What food do Celians eat? Can you teach us your music?" Liru answered happily. She no longer feared their curiosity. At night, the group sat around a heater. Someone played music. Others shared stories. Even Bop danced in circles, making Liru giggle. Daru turned to her and said, "I think your dream is working." She nodded. "Ours, our dream." Later that week, a message came from the Earth-Celia Unity Council, a new group formed by both planets to support peaceful contact. They invited Liru and Daru to speak at the first Peace Gathering, a live event broadcast to both worlds. At first, Liru was nervous. "I'm just small. What if I say something wrong?" Daru knelt beside her. "You've already done more than many leaders ever could. Just speak from your heart. That's what you're best at." She smiled. Okay, but you must stand beside me, always. The day of the gathering arrived. A special transport ship landed outside their shed. It was designed for both human and Celian passengers. It had large chairs and tiny ones, mixed food options, and soft music playing from both cultures. Liru stepped inside, wearing a simple scarf decorated with stars from both her planet and Earth. Daru carried a small bag filled with notes, drawings, and the music box dot as the ship lifted into the sky. Liru looked out the window and whispered, "I never thought I would leave this moon again." Daru smiled. "And now you leave as a leader." The gathering took place on Moonbase Hallen, a peaceful station floating between Earth and Celia. Flags from both planets waved gently, and many guests filled the round hall, humans and Celians sitting side by side. When Liru walked onto the stage, the room went quiet. She looked small, standing next to the tall microphones. But her voice was steady. "I came here not to teach fear, but to replace it. I used to believe humans were monsters. I was wrong. I was saved by one. I was taught by one. I was trusted by one. And now, I trust you." She looked around at the wide eyes watching her. "If I can do that, so can you." Daru stepped forward, holding the music box dot. He turned the knob. A soft melody filled the air. It was the song they had listened to the first night they became friends. He said, "This tune played when she first smiled at me, and from that moment, I knew peace doesn't need big speeches. It starts with small kindness." The whole hall stood up in applause, loud claps from humans, soft tapping sounds from Celians. The bridge between stars had been built. After the gathering, Liru and Daru returned to Varnies. More visitors arrived in the following weeks. Artists, engineers, children, even a Celian farmer who brought glowing seeds that grew in the dark. The shed became a true center of learning. They named it the Unity Post. Inside, a simple plaque hung on the wall. It read, "Once feared, now trusted. Once strangers, now friends." Liru often read it when she felt tired. It reminded her of how far she had come from hiding in fear to standing on a stage, speaking for peace. One quiet evening, she and Daru sat on the roof of the shed, watching the stars. She looked up and asked, "Do you think we'll always have peace?" Daru thought for a moment. "Peace isn't something you get and keep forever. It's something you care for, like a garden. You water it, you pull out weeds, you protect it." Liru smiled. "Then let's keep planting." He nodded. Together. The wind blew softly, and the stars above shone brighter than ever. A human, a Celian, no longer enemies. Just two hearts, building a better world, one small step at a time.